The historical city ruins of Doldum Deer was scheduled for demolition by a private corporation that had been granted planning permission by the Central Parliament of the Tiberian star systems for the purpose of converting the whole area into a modernized industrial hub to attract intergalactic businesses. The residents of the nearby dwarven settlements vehemently opposed this and resorted to extreme measures as they took up arms to fend off any of the development contractors sent over by the greedy corporates. After many seasons of struggle, the corporation finally responded in full force against the NIMBY dwarves, employing a platoon of mercenary robots. This is a battle report of a game of OnePageRules Grimdark Future version 3.4.1. It is played using the basic rules with 2000 points lists adhering to force organisation. I play the Dwarf guilds against an opponent fielding the robot legions. Here's my list. A Dwarf champion will lead a combined unit of 10 Iron veterans, all with Iron blasters. With the Guild Lord upgrade, the unit will be able to fire a maximum of 23 AP2 shots that hit on 3+. In addition to the decent 3+ defense, one of the veterans have the medical training upgrade, which gives the unit regeneration for added survivability. They will be carried by an APC transport so that they can close in on the enemy and punish them with their guns. Similarly, there is a combined unit of 10 Dwarf warriors with shotguns. Their short-range shotguns will be able to fire a total of 20 AP1 shots a turn. They too will have their own transport. A combined unit of 6 Thunder supports will provide long-range indirect artillery fire with blast. Another Dwarf champion with a Guild Lord upgrade will accompany them, giving the mortar rounds an additional AP. There are 2 units of 5 Guardians. They are cheap units to shield the artillery from enemy attacks, as well as grabbing objectives wherever possible. Finally, I have 2 units of Miners. These guys are tunnelers, which means they can ambush, but they can deploy extra close to the enemy. They're low on quality, defense and range, but they're cheap and can again be used to screen off the enemy. Plus, their AP2 shotguns can potentially be a nasty surprise. For my opponent's list, the Robot Legion will have an Annihilator Lord. It has some shooting attacks, but it excels in melee. In terms of survivability, as well as being tough 6, it has the regen protocol upgrade on top of self-repair that the whole army gets. A Robot Lord will accompany a combined unit of 10 Guardians. It is a melee unit with a maximum of 24 attacks. Between the shield wall, self-repair and the gloom protocol, this unit will have a 2+ base defense save, followed by 2 6+ saves, making it a pretty tough unit to shift. All models are upgraded with jump packs, so they will have ambush, flying and swift. The third unit in ambush will be the Triscorpion Pistolier. This one can shoot 6 AP1 shots, but due to the Hunter upgrade, on the round it deploys, those shots will have AP3. Furthermore, it is relentless, so any 6s to hit generates an extra hit. There are 2 units of warriors. They are armed with Reaper rifles which fire AP2 shots that can easily penetrate dwarven armor if their slow legs can carry them within range of their targets. There are 2 units of Eternals which are basically upgrades to the warriors both in quality and defense. Their Flux carbines produce additional hits on any hit rolls of 6s. A unit of 3 robot snakes can slither across the battlefield at normal speed. With metal fangs and deadly whip coil, it would surely prove to be a menace in close quarters. Finally, there is a tank buster in the form of the Heavy Annihilator. Its heavy Gauss rifle has a respectable 24-inch range, and with AP2 and Deadly 6, the Dwarven APC would be instantly taken out should it be hit and fail its defense roll. The battlefield is scattered with rocks and building ruins. We treat these as line-of-sight blocking, impassable terrain. There are a few areas with trees. These count as difficult terrain. Units can shoot into or out of these areas, but not through. Furthermore, a unit within the wooded areas gain cover bonus when they receive ranged attacks. With a 3 rolled on a d3, 5 objective markers are placed on the board. The dwarves win the roll-off for board edge selection and initiative, so they deploy first. Units placed in reserve for ambush are 2 units of Dwarven Miners, the Robot Annihilator Lord, the Robot Lord with 10 Guardians, and the Robot Triscorpion Pistolier. The Dwarf Champion and the 10 Iron Veterans will start in the red APC. The 10 Dwarf Warriors will start in the yellow APC. The Dwarf Guardians on the right advance forward, coming out of the cover of the building. The Robot Snakes also move forward. The red APC drives forward past the Guardians and over Objective 3. 1 unit of the Robot Warriors advances over Objective 2. The Dwarven Thunder Support unit moves forward so that it can claim Objective 1 and have all its model in range to target the Robot Warriors that have just come forward. After suffering a -1 modifier to hit for moving before shooting indirect weapons, just 1 mortar round lands on the target, causing 3 hits. However, the robots are saved by some good defense rolls. The Heavy Annihilator zooms forward alongside the Robot Snakes. It ends up over Objective 4. The second unit of Dwarf Guardians moves forward, forming a line to protect the left flank of the artillery. The unit of Eternals on the right trails the Heavy Annihilator. The yellow APC speeds over to the left, heading towards Objective 5. The second unit of Eternals starts making its way to the same objective. The Dwarf Champion leads the Iron Veterans out from the red APC. They unleash a deadly volley from their Iron Blasters and take out the Robot Snakes. The second unit of Robot Warriors moves to reinforce the center. Finally, the Dwarf Warriors disembark the yellow APC. They do not want to stay in their transport in case they are ambushed the next round. At the end of the round, the Dwarves capture Objectives 1 and 3, while the robots take 2 and 4, leaving Objective 5 open for the taking. At the start of the round, both sides declare ambush. The Triscorpion Pistolier appears before the Dwarf Champion and the Iron Veterans. However, a unit of Dwarf Miners tunnels out in front of them, forming a defensive line. On the right flank of the Dwarves, the Robot Lord phases in with its retinue of Guardians. On the other side, the second unit of Dwarf Miners digs its way out of the ground onto Objective 5, and they keep behind a rock to avoid enemy fire. Finally, the Annihilator Lord deploys between the 2 units of Robot Warriors. It starts the round by charging at the miners. The swing of the Hypersword cleaves 3 dwarves cleanly, like a Damascus blade cutting through tofu. The 2 remaining miners' attempt to hit back ends pathetically, and they immediately abandon the field as they fail their morale test. With the miners no longer blocking the view, the Dwarf Champion and the Iron Veterans deliver a salvo from their Iron Blasters at the Triscorpion Pistolier that decapitates it beyond repair. The Robot Lord leads a charge against the Dwarven Guardians. The shield wall of the dwarves is quickly overwhelmed by the swift wave of bladestorm produced by the ruthless assailants. The robots meet very little resistance before they make their way closer towards the heart of the dwarven ranks. The red APC reverses into the edge of difficult terrain to protect the Iron Veteran's rear. It opens fire upon the robot guardians with its turret and manages to take out 2 of them. The unit of robot warriors positioned in the center rushes forward, ending behind the Annihilator Lord. The dwarven artillery turns its guns towards the robot guardians closing in on them. Despite making 9 hits, only 1 of the robots fall to the mortar blast. The heavy Annihilator continues its course and reaches the corner of the building near Objective 3. The remaining unit of Dwarf Guardians pulls back, close to the Thunder supports, giving space for the yellow APC to shoot at the robots threatening the flank. The Eternals on the right advance forward, and they take shots at the Iron Veterans. They deal 3 wounds, but 2 of the veterans are saved by their medical training. Seeing the fight intensifying in the center, the unit of Dwarf Warriors returns on board the yellow APC. The Eternals on the left side carry on their slow march towards Objective 5. The yellow APC moves back towards the center and fires upon the robot guardians. Another 2 robots fall under the turret fire. The second unit of robot warriors moves over Objective 2 comfortably. The second unit of miners pops out of cover and fires upon the Eternals. With some good hit rolls, the Eternals take 7 hits that take out 2 of them. This turned out to be a mistake that I discovered while editing this video, as the iron shotguns have 6-inch range rather than the 12-inch range that I must have thought they had. Therefore, this gave me an unfair advantage, so I'd like to apologise for my mistake here. At the end of the round, both sides keep the same objectives claimed previously. Since the Dwarf miners ambushed, they do not get to claim any objectives this round. The Robot Lord resumes the attack. It leads the Guardians into the Dwarven Thunder supports. The Robot Lord hits once but fails to wound, while its Guardians inflict 5 wounds and takes out a model, with 2 wounds carrying over to the next. The retaliation of the dwarves amounts to absolutely nothing as their attacks bounce off the cold metal of the robots. Despite the presence of a dwarf champion, the unit fails its morale test and becomes shaken. The other dwarf champion calls upon the Iron Veterans to take aim at the Annihilator Lord. With yet another volley, 15 rounds hit the robot beast, but with some good defense rolls followed by self-repair and regeneration, the Annihilator Lord manages to reduce the damage down to 4 wounds, leaving it with just 2 remaining. It passes its morale test as it gives out a robotic roar and leaps at the red APC. Its arms, forming the sharpest glaives, hack and tear down the armor plating of the APC, dealing 3 wounds to the vehicle. The driver screams in terror and drives away, desperately hoping that the damage would be covered by insurance. The miners form a line on Objective 5 to block the Eternals from entering it. They fire their iron shotguns and manage to wipe out the remaining Eternals. Once again, they shouldn't have been able to do this due to the short range of the iron shotguns, so I'm really sorry about the error. The unit of robot warriors that follow the Annihilator Lord advances. The warriors fire their Reaper rifles at the Iron Veterans. However, the Gauss projectiles fail to penetrate the dwarven armor to cause any wounds. The yellow APC drives into difficult terrain in order to gain cover in preparation for when the heavy Annihilator comes in range. It then fires on the robot guardians and deletes another 2, forcing a morale test on the unit, now reduced to below half strength. The Robot Lord's stone-cold leadership maintains the unit's resolve. The heavy Annihilator reaches Objective 3. As it peeks out from the corner of a building, it fires its heavy Gauss cannon at the yellow APC. However, it only succeeds in making a tree explode. The Dwarf warriors disembark in front of the yellow APC and fire their shotguns at the Annihilator Lord. Having sustained some damage already, the Annihilator fails to withstand the repeated barrage from the Dwarves. The remaining Eternals once again fire upon the Iron Veterans and pick off another 2. The unit of Thunder supports rallies and becomes unshaken. Their commanding Dwarf champion orders the Dwarf Guardians to board the APC to reclaim Objective 3. The Robot Warriors at the back shuffle slightly over Objective 2. At the end of the round, the Dwarves capture Objective 5, but the robots steal Objective 3 from them. The Robot Lord and the remaining Guardians fall back and form a line in front of Objective 3 to block the Dwarves from contesting it. However, the Iron Veterans close in on them and unleash yet another deadly salvo that just manages to finish them off. The Robot Warriors take aim at the yellow APC in a desperate attempt to pin it down. Unfortunately, the bolts from the Reaper rifles fail to damage the armoured truck. The Dwarf Warriors run out of the woods and place some feet on Objective 3. At this point we decided the game was set, with no further actions being able to change the outcome. The Dwarves take Objectives 1 and 5, the Robots 2 and 4, and Objective 3 remains contested, resulting in a draw. However, had I remembered the range of the miners' iron shotguns correctly, I think there would have been a slim chance of the Dwarves being able to defend Objective 5. It would have been more likely that the Eternals would have reached it, and after surviving a round of shooting, they would have contested it. For that reason, I would settle the score being 2-1 in favour of the Robot Legions. That was really fun. On the one hand, I was pleased with the performance of the Iron Veterans as they killed off the Triscorpion Pistolier, then brought the Annihilator Lord on its last leg, before finishing off the Robot Lord and his retinue of Guardians. On the other hand, I was having to play defensively, when I hoped the APCs would be able to carry the infantry over to remote objectives, but they ended up just shifting units around in my own deployment area. Having said that, it was interesting to discover that re-embarking on emptied transports was a viable strategy here. The robots did well at grabbing those objectives. It really makes me dread when a robot unit reaches an objective because they can never be shaken, so I have to take them out. Anyway, another fun game played.